Bringing Democratic strategist Jessica Tarlov right now, along with National Review reporter Kat Timpf. First, you have this closed-door meeting today. Ladies, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. Then you've got the establishment Republicans basically coming up with this meeting to try to figure out how to take down Trump. And now you have these protests. Kat, what do you make of this?
Well, this should have started sooner if people were going to really try and want to take down Donald Trump, but nobody took him seriously. I don't think there's really any stopping him now, because I think he's right. If they do nominate someone else, the vote will be split. So either way, there's really nothing you can do at this point. I'm not really a Donald Trump supporter. I think it's kind of the whole opening up libel laws if the media says negative things, which is not only what I do for a living, but at the same time, you know, the fourth branch of governments, the media, essentially. That's very dangerous. But at this point, what are we supposed to do?
Yeah, whether you're a Trump supporter or not, it is something of a tin ear to say that you are going to go and take him down when we know that this has been the will of the people.
Right. Yeah, I think that what the establishment is doing, and this is kind of separate from the protesters, is they're just trying to avoid really taking a look at themselves and what they did wrong and the failures that they've created for themselves. And I mean, there's some blame obviously to be placed on Democrats who have contributed to this really harsh environment in Washington, I think, where we have all this gridlock. But the GOP establishment hasn't done anything that they were elected to do. You know, they came in 2010 with this wave. You know, they took control back 2014, and they have nothing to show for it. They've agreed with Democrats more than ever before.
And you're a Trump supporter.
I am, and a convert, by the way. And I was very vocal on air on your show, in fact, previously very skeptical of Donald Trump. He has won me over, and he's won me over largely because of what I've seen when you talk about the will of the people. I think it's very important. I think it's the height of arrogance, by the way, for party elites to decide they are the problem, okay? They think Donald Trump is the problem. They're the problem, and I think you're exactly correct. As a conservative, for the last quarter century, we've been sending conservatives to Congress. What have they done for us? Nothing. John Boehner, Mitch McConnell.
They've rolled over a lot.
So when we talk about a third party, we don't need a third party. We need a second party. And I'm convinced that Donald Trump, and I will admit, we're throwing a bit of a Hail Mary pass here, right? I'm trusting that he's a conservative.
That's right. Well, that is more than a Hail Mary there. I mean,
I believe he's a conservative, and I believe that it's worth the risk right now that we will actually, we don't need to go to Washington to tinker on the margins.
Whether you believe it or not. I mean, this is, the people are voting.
Right.
Wouldn't that be a huge black eye if, in fact, you know, they tried to take the election from him?
Right.
What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, I mean, Kat, you said, you know, he seems unstoppable now, and you're on the GOP side here. What does the establishment have to do, and what does Trump have to do for everyone to work together and win this? Like, what needs to happen?
It seems obviously Trump supporters are very, very, very steadfast. They're not going to support anyone else. And then the Never Trump movement, I think, is the same. So at this point, it's like you can look back, hindsight's 20/20, but at this point, there really is no solution.
Well, let me push back for a second here. I mean, I could see both sides of this, because on the other side of the case, there's a reason that there's 1237 in terms of the number of delegates you need. If you don't have 1,237 delegates, you don't have it. Then there should be a contested convention.
But if you're within 100, I mean, and I'm saying this, I honestly, as a Democrat, well, as a human being, I really fear a Clinton-Trump general election, because it will be the ugliest thing you have ever seen. I mean, he says, I can be presidential when I want to. It's very limited that he does feel that he wants to. But the way that he will go after her will be so bloody and merciless. And he will look terrible. I mean, if that ad about what he said about women struck a chord, think about what it's going to do when he's standing up on a stage, battering her with the insults. But if he's within, I'd say, 100 delegates of the 1237, and he's denied that nomination, it's the same thing to me.
I agree.
Just robbing him.
Well, it's 100, but what is the magic number? I mean, if it's 1,100, if it's 1,000, you know.
I think if there's a huge, I mean, if there's over 300-400, you know, delegate difference between him and Ted Cruz, I don't know how you can't say that that is, in a fractured GOP, the will of the people.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump, looking ahead to the general election, releasing a new ad targeting Hillary Clinton, as you say. Watch this.
Wow. She barks one time, and it's like...
Yeah, but you know,
why did she bark, though?
She's like, you know, I wasn't going to vote for her, but then she started barking, and now I'm all in. No, that was insane, and we should continue to be making fun of that. I still haven't forgotten it, and I'm glad that
she
we're being reminded.
had to expect that was going to turn up in an ad.
Right, why? Why? I really want to know whose idea that was.
Well,
Who told her to bark?
When we look to the general election, I think this is important. It's another reason why I've come around to backing Donald Trump. Is I believe in the general election, he is the only Republican that is going to really put Hillary to the test. I think he will make her own Benghazi. He will make her own her emails. He'll make her own the foundation scandals.
Yeah.
He will do that far better than Ted Cruz would or any other Republican would.
I think he thinks the foundation stuff is even worse than the email scandal because the foundation hasn't really been talked about a lot. But this is the story of she was a sitting Secretary of State. She was in talks with certain, major governments, and at that time they were donating to the Clinton Global Initiative or Bill Clinton's foundation.
I think so. I mean, I've listened to Peter Schweitzer, who wrote the book about this a lot, and he's made it clear there's no proof of a quid pro quo here. There's a lot of murkiness, and that's the problem with the Clintons, and I'm a strong Hillary Clinton supporter, but they live in the gray, and they largely have, since Arkansas
And they
days.
make themselves vulnerable.
But the gray's working for them.
The gray is so working. I mean,
Wow.
I was so shocked by Tuesday night that she managed to pull out all of those victories, especially after what happened in Michigan with Bernie's upset, taking it just a couple points extra. But she was pulling so far ahead. And I think, Democrats think more about electability. They're looking ahead to November right now, and Republicans aren't yet.
Yeah.
Though I do think Donald Trump has a much stronger chance against her than Ted Cruz, who's just far too ideological.
So you think Trump can beat Hillary?
No, I don't think Trump can beat Hillary, but I think he can make it really messy and a lot closer.
All right, Kat, Jessica.